Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to want something? I'm not talking about casual preference. I'm talking about that bone-deep, desperate wanting that keeps you up at night. The kind that makes you check your bank account obsessively, rehearse conversations that haven't happened yet, or scroll through social media comparing your life to everyone else's highlight reel. You've been doing the work, you really have. Morning pages, vision boards, guided meditations. You've listened to the podcasts, bought the courses, journaled until your hand cramped. You say your affirmations with conviction. You visualize with crystal clarity. You've mastered the art of acting as if. And yet, if you're brutally honest with yourself, something still feels off. There's this underlying current of tension, this white-knuckle grip on your desires that you can't quite release. You're trying so hard to stay positive that the effort itself has become exhausting. You're managing your thoughts like a helicopter parent, constantly monitoring, correcting, redirecting. And beneath all of it, there's a question you're almost afraid to ask. If I'm doing everything right, why does this feel like pushing a boulder uphill? Here's what nobody wants to tell you because it sounds too simple, too anticlimactic. You're working against yourself. Not because you're broken or doing it wrong, but because you're operating from a fundamental misunderstanding about how energy actually works. Every spiritual teacher, every manifestation guru, every quantum physics enthusiast will tell you some version of the same thing. You attract what you vibrate. You create from your frequency. Your energy shapes your reality. And on a conceptual level, you get it. You understand the words. But knowing something intellectually and embodying it energetically are two entirely different experiences. The problem isn't that you don't believe in the power of frequency. The problem is that you're trying to create a high frequency through sheer force of will. You're attempting to think your way into a feeling, to convince yourself into certainty, to perform your way into peace. And that very effort, that striving, that grasping, that need to make it happen, is creating what scientists call frequency interference. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to hear a beautiful piece of music playing softly in the distance, but right next to you, there's a jackhammer pounding away. You can strain and focus and try really hard to hear the music, but the noise is drowning it out. That jackhammer? That's your effort, your anxiety, your desperate need for things to change, your fear that if you don't keep pushing, nothing will happen. And the music? That's the natural flow of manifestation, the effortless unfolding that happens when your energy is clear, calm, and coherent. Today, you're going to learn about something I call the Coherence Code, a fundamental shift in how you relate to reality itself. This isn't another technique to add to your already overflowing toolbox. This is an understanding that will dissolve the need for so many techniques in the first place. Because here's the truth that will set you free. The universe isn't responding to how hard you try. It's responding to how clear your signal is. And clarity doesn't come from effort. It comes from coherence. Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you'll understand why everything you've been doing might be creating static instead of signal, and more importantly, how to shift from force to flow in a way that fundamentally changes your relationship with manifestation itself. Let's start by getting really precise about what we're actually talking about when we use words like frequency, vibration, and energy. Because these terms get thrown around so casually in spiritual circles that they start to lose meaning. They become vague metaphors instead of tangible realities you can work with. Your body is, at its most fundamental level, an electromagnetic system. This isn't mystical. This is measurable, documented science. Every cell in your body communicates through electrical impulses. Your heart generates the most powerful electromagnetic field in your entire system, one that extends several feet beyond your physical body and can be detected by sensitive instruments. Neuroscientists and cardiologists have spent decades studying what happens to this field under different conditions. And what they've discovered is both fascinating and profoundly relevant to anyone interested in manifestation. When you're calm, centered, and genuinely at peace, your heart rhythm creates what researchers call a coherent pattern. If you looked at it on a graph, it would appear as smooth, rolling waves, like gentle ocean swells. This state of coherence has cascading effects throughout your entire system. Your brain waves synchronize with your heart rhythm. Your nervous system shifts out of survival mode and into growth mode. Stress hormones like cortisol decrease dramatically. Regenerative hormones like DHEA increase. Your immune system strengthens. Your perception expands. You literally think more clearly, make better decisions, and respond to challenges with greater creativity and flexibility. This is what coherence looks like physiologically. It's a state of internal harmony where all your systems are working together instead of fighting each other. Now let's contrast that with incoherence. When you're stressed, anxious, frustrated, or operating from fear, your heart rhythm becomes erratic and chaotic. If you looked at it on a graph, it would look like jagged mountain peaks, sharp, irregular, unpredictable. This state of incoherence creates what researchers call biological noise. Your brain waves fragment. Your nervous system locks into defense mode, constantly scanning for threats. Stress hormones flood your system, your perception narrows, you lose access to your higher cognitive functions and operate primarily from your survival brain, the part that only knows fight, flight, or freeze. Here's where it gets really interesting from a manifestation perspective. That electromagnetic field your heart generates, it's not contained within your body. It extends outward, interacting with the fields of other people, with your environment, with what quantum physicists call the unified field. Think of your heart's electromagnetic signature as a radio signal broadcasting outward constantly. When your signal is coherent, smooth, clear, consistent, it interacts with the field in a very different way than when your signal is incoherent, choppy, scattered, static-filled. The quantum field, this ocean of infinite potential that surrounds and permeates everything, responds to clarity, not effort, not force, not desperation, clarity. When you're in a state of coherence, you're essentially broadcasting a clear, powerful signal that says, "This is who I am, this is my frequency." And the field, which is fundamentally participatory, begins to organize itself around that signal. Opportunities, people, circumstances, and synchronicities that match that frequency become more accessible to you. But when you're in a state of incoherence, and this is the part that trips most people up, you're broadcasting a scrambled signal. One part of you is saying, "I want abundance," while another part is broadcasting, "I'm terrified of not having enough." One part is affirming, "I am worthy of love," while another part is radiating, "Please don't reject me." The field doesn't know which signal to respond to because you're sending mixed messages. And so what you experience is a reality that mirrors that internal conflict. Opportunities that appear and disappear, relationships that start promising but fizzle out, financial situations that improve briefly and then reset. This is frequency interference, not because the universe is punishing you or because you're not trying hard enough, but because your signal itself is contradictory. And here's the kicker. Most of the interference isn't coming from your conscious mind. You can spend an hour visualizing abundance and genuinely feel excited about it. But if underneath that, your nervous system is still wired for scarcity, if your body is still holding the tension of not enough, if your baseline state is still one of survival stress, then that underlying frequency is louder than your conscious intention. Because your subconscious patterns, your nervous system responses, your deeply embedded emotional habits, these are broadcasting 24/7. Your conscious practices might occupy an hour of your day, but your unconscious patterns are transmitting the other 23 hours. This is why people can do everything right on a surface level and still feel stuck. They're trying to create change from the level of thought while their body is locked in an entirely different frequency. Let me give you a concrete example. Sarah, a client of mine, spent 2 years working on manifesting a relationship. She did all the inner work. She healed her past wounds. She knew her worth. She could articulate exactly what she wanted in a partner. She went on dates with an open heart. But there was a pattern she couldn't break. Every time someone started to get close, every time a relationship began to move toward real intimacy, something would happen. She'd find a fatal flaw. She'd get overwhelmed. She'd start to feel suffocated. And she'd exit the relationship, always with a perfectly logical reason why it wouldn't have worked anyway. On a conscious level, Sarah wanted partnership. She believed she deserved it. But on a nervous system level, intimacy triggered an ancient alarm. Her body remembered every time closeness led to pain. And so, unconsciously, Her system would create distance before the danger could arrive. She wasn't broadcasting, "I'm ready for love." She was broadcasting, "Come close, but not too close. I want connection, but I'm terrified of it." The field wasn't denying her desire. It was mirroring her actual frequency with perfect accuracy. This is what I mean by frequency interference. Your conscious mind says one thing, your nervous system broadcasts another, and the field responds to the totality of your signal, the conscious and unconscious combined. So if you've been frustrated with your manifestation efforts, if you feel like you're doing everything right but nothing's changing, the question isn't, what am I doing wrong? The question is, what frequency am I actually broadcasting beneath my conscious intentions? Because once you understand this mechanism, once you see that the issue isn't your technique but your internal coherence, everything changes. You stop trying to manifest through force and start learning how to create through resonance. In the next section, we're going to dive deeper into what coherence actually feels like in your body, how to recognize when you've slipped into incoherence, and why the shift from one state to the other isn't about doing more. It's about releasing the very effort that's creating the interference. Now that you understand the science behind coherence and incoherence, let's talk about how to recognize these states in your actual lived experience. Because conceptual understanding is valuable, but embodied recognition is what creates transformation. Most people have experienced coherence at some point in their lives, even if they didn't have a name for it. Think back to a moment when you felt completely at peace, not because everything was perfect, but because you were deeply present. Maybe you were in nature, watching a sunset, and time seemed to dissolve. Maybe you were in flow state, completely absorbed in creative work. Maybe you were with someone you love, and there was nothing to prove, nothing to achieve, just pure connection. In those moments, there's a distinct quality to your internal experience. Your breathing is natural and deep. Your body is relaxed but alert. Your mind is calm but engaged. There's no grasping, no urgency, no sense that you need to be anywhere other than exactly where you are. This is coherence. And the interesting thing is, in these moments, you're not trying to be coherent. You're not working at it. You've simply dropped into a state where your entire system, mind, body, and nervous system is aligned. Now contrast that with how you feel when you're in active manifestation mode. For many people, the moment they start trying to manifest something, there's an immediate shift in energy. The body tenses slightly. The breath becomes shallower. The mind starts to race, planning, strategizing, worrying. There's a subtle but persistent sense of not enough time, not enough progress, not enough proof that it's working. And underneath all of it, there's often a quiet desperation, a fear that if you don't keep pushing, if you don't stay vigilant, everything will fall apart. This is incoherence. And the cruel irony is that the very state of trying to make something happen is often the state that prevents it from happening. Think about it. When you're desperately trying to fall asleep, what happens? You become more awake. When you're straining to remember someone's name, it slips further away. When you're forcing yourself to relax, you become more tense. The effort itself creates resistance. The same principle applies to manifestation. When you're in a state of grasping, of needing it to happen, of fearing it won't, you're generating interference. Your signal becomes scrambled because you're simultaneously broadcasting desire and lack, intention and doubt, possibility and fear. So how do you shift from incoherence to coherence? The first step is simply learning to recognize the difference in your own body. Incoherence often feels like tightness in your chest or stomach, shallow, rapid breathing, racing thoughts that jump from worry to planning to doubt, a sense of urgency or panic, hypervigilance, constantly monitoring whether it's working muscle tension, especially in the jaw, shoulders, or neck, a need to control or figure everything out right now, difficulty being present, always mentally ahead or behind. Coherence often feels like softness in your body, especially your face and belly. Deep, natural breathing without effort. Mental clarity without mental noise, a sense of spaciousness and possibility. Trust without needing proof. Muscles that are relaxed but responsive. Present moment awareness without urgency. an underlying sense of okayness, even if nothing has changed yet. The key insight here is that coherence isn't a feeling you manufacture. It's a state you allow by removing the interference that's blocking it. Let me be really clear about this because it's easy to misunderstand. I'm not saying you need to force yourself to feel calm or pretend you're not anxious. That would just be adding another layer of resistance. Instead, coherence emerges naturally when you stop doing the things that create incoherence. It's like a lake. When the wind is whipping across the surface and you're throwing rocks into the water, the surface is choppy and disturbed. You can't make the lake calm by throwing better rocks or trying really hard to smooth the surface. The lake becomes calm when you stop agitating it and let it settle on its own. Your nervous system works the same way. It naturally gravitates toward coherence when you stop bombarding it with urgency, fear, and control. So let's talk about the subtle ways you might be creating incoherence without realizing it. One of the biggest culprits is checking. How many times a day do you check to see if it's working? You check your bank account to see if money has appeared yet. You check your phone to see if they've texted. You check your body to see if you feel different yet. You check your circumstances to see if anything has shifted. Every time you check, you're sending a signal of doubt. You're essentially saying to the field, I don't trust that this is working, so I need to verify it constantly. And that lack of trust becomes part of your frequency. Another major source of interference is comparison. You look at other people's lives and wonder why it's working for them but not for you. You measure your progress against someone else's timeline. You feel behind, inadequate, or like you're missing some secret key that everyone else has. Comparison creates incoherence because it pulls you out of your own frequency and into a state of lack. You're no longer broadcasting who you are, you're broadcasting who you're not. Then there's the trap of spiritual performance. This is when you turn practices like meditation, visualization, or gratitude into another thing you have to do perfectly. You become hyper-vigilant about every thought, panicking if you catch yourself thinking something negative. You force yourself to feel grateful even when you're genuinely struggling. You perform happiness to prove to the universe that you're worthy. But the universe doesn't need you to perform. The field doesn't require perfection. In fact, the energy of trying to be perfect is itself a form of incoherence because it's rooted in the belief that you're not enough as you are. Here's what's actually required: authenticity. When you're genuinely present with yourself, not trying to be somewhere else, not trying to feel something different, not trying to prove anything, you naturally drop into coherence. This is why the most powerful manifestations often happen during moments when you've completely let go, when you've stopped trying, when you've surrendered the outcome and made peace with wherever you are right now. That surrender isn't giving up, it's releasing resistance. It's the energetic equivalent of unclenching your fist, opening your hand, and trusting that what's meant for you will come without force. I want to share a story that illustrates this perfectly. A student of mine named David had been trying to manifest a career shift for over a year. He was doing everything: networking, updating his resume, applying to positions, visualizing success, but nothing was landing. He'd get interviews and not get the job. He'd get excited about an opportunity and it would fall through. He was getting more and more frustrated, more and more desperate, and that desperation was in his voice during interviews. It was in his body language. It was radiating from his field. Then something happened. David got sick, nothing serious, but enough that he had to take a week off and just rest. During that week, he couldn't job search, he couldn't network, he couldn't do anything productive. He just slept, watched movies, and let himself be. And in that space of complete non-effort, something shifted. The anxiety that had been his constant companion dissolved. The urgency released. He found himself thinking about his career with curiosity instead of desperation. What if the right thing just showed up? What if he didn't have to force it? 3 days after he returned to work, he got a call. A colleague he'd spoken to months ago remembered him and recommended him for a position that hadn't even been advertised yet. Within 2 weeks, he had the job. Better than anything he'd applied for, with a significant pay increase. The shift didn't happen because David did something new. It happened because he stopped doing. He stopped forcing. He stopped creating interference. And in that space of coherence, the field could finally respond to his actual desire instead of his fear. This is the pattern I see over and over again. The moment people release the death grip on their desires, the moment they stop checking and controlling and performing, the moment they drop into genuine coherence, that's when reality begins to reorganize itself. But here's the part that requires courage. You have to be willing to let go of the outcome without evidence that it's going to work. You have to be willing to trust before you see proof. You have to be willing to relax into coherence, even when your external circumstances haven't changed yet, because coherence is the proof. When you feel that deep internal alignment, when your nervous system is calm, when your heart is open, when you're present without urgency, that state itself is evidence that you're broadcasting a clear signal. The external reflection will follow, but it can't arrive while you're still frantically searching for it. In the next section, we're going to explore the specific practices that help you drop into coherence naturally, without force, without performance, without turning it into another thing you have to do perfectly. These aren't techniques you perform. They're invitations to release the very effort that's been creating interference all along. Now we arrive at the practical question. How do you actually cultivate coherence in your daily life? But before we dive into specific practices, I want to reframe what practice actually means in this context. Most people approach spiritual or manifestation practices with the same energy they bring to everything else in their lives. More is better, harder is more effective, consistency requires force. They approach meditation like a workout, visualization like homework, and affirmations like a checklist to complete. But coherence doesn't respond to force. In fact, the more you try to force it, the more you reinforce the very incoherence you're trying to escape. So the practices I'm about to share with you are not things you do to achieve coherence. They're invitations to notice and release the patterns that block coherence from arising naturally. Think of them as creating space rather than filling it, subtracting interference rather than adding technique. Practice 1. The breath as portal. Your breath is the fastest, most reliable bridge between your conscious mind and your autonomic nervous system. When you're in a state of incoherence, your breath becomes shallow, rapid, and irregular. When you're in coherence, your breath becomes deep, slow, and rhythmic. Here's the practice. Anytime you notice yourself slipping into urgency, anxiety, or that familiar tension of trying to make something happen, pause. Just for a moment, don't try to fix anything or change your state. Simply bring your attention to your breath. Without controlling it, without forcing it to be different, just notice it. Where is it in your body? Is it high in your chest or deep in your belly? Is it fast or slow, smooth or jagged? Then gently, like you're coaxing a nervous animal to come closer, invite your breath to deepen. Not through effort, but through softness. Imagine your inhale filling not just your lungs but your entire torso, expanding your ribs, your belly, your back. Let your exhale be slightly longer than your inhale. This simple adjustment signals to your nervous system that you're safe, that there's no immediate threat, that you can exit survival mode. Do this for just 3 breaths. That's it. 3 conscious, deep, slow breaths. You're not trying to reach a state of bliss. You're simply creating a tiny interruption in your pattern of incoherence. And that interruption creates space for coherence to emerge. The beautiful thing about this practice is that it's always available. You can do it before a difficult conversation, in the middle of an anxious moment, when you catch yourself checking your bank account for the 100th time. 3 breaths, that's the practice. Practice 2, the heart coherence technique. This practice builds on the breath but adds a specific focus that exponentially increases its effectiveness. It's based on research from the HeartMath Institute, which has spent decades studying the relationship between heart rhythm and optimal human functioning. Here's how it works. Find a quiet place where you can sit comfortably for a few minutes. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Begin with the breathing technique we just discussed, deep, slow breaths with a longer exhale. Once your breath has settled into a rhythm, bring your attention to your heart center, the space in the middle of your chest. You can place a hand over your heart if it helps you focus. Now, imagine that you're breathing in and out through your heart. Not literally, of course, but as if the breath is flowing in and out of this space. This simple visualization helps synchronize your breath, your heart rhythm, and your brain waves. Next, and this is the crucial part, activate a feeling of genuine appreciation. Not forced gratitude or performative thankfulness, but authentic appreciation for something real. It could be as simple as appreciation for the fact that you're breathing, or for the warmth of the sun, or for one person in your life who loves you. The key word here is genuine. A small amount of real feeling is exponentially more powerful than a large amount of pretend feeling. Even if you can only muster a flicker of authentic appreciation, that's enough. Hold this combination, breathing through your heart while feeling appreciation for 3 to 5 minutes. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. If the feeling fades, gently reactivate it. What you're doing in these minutes is creating what researchers call psychophysiological coherence. Your heart rhythm smooths into those rolling waves we talked about earlier. Your nervous system shifts into a growth state. Your entire electromagnetic field reorganizes into a clear, powerful signal. This isn't metaphysical speculation. This is measurable. If you were hooked up to a heart rate variability monitor during this practice, you would see your coherence score increase in real time. And here's what's remarkable. The effects of even 5 minutes of heart coherence can last for hours afterward. You're essentially resetting your baseline frequency, making it easier to maintain coherence throughout your day. Practice 3, the art of allowing. This is perhaps the most challenging practice because it's not something you do, it's something you stop doing. Allowing is the practice of releasing your grip on how and when things should unfold. Most people are in a constant state of low-level resistance to what is. If you're single, you're resisting being single. If you're in debt, you're resisting being in debt. If you're in a job you don't love, you're resisting being there. This resistance makes perfect sense from a conscious perspective. Of course you want things to be different. Of course you're working toward change. But the energy of resistance itself creates incoherence. Here's why. When you resist what is, you split your energy. Part of you is here, in your current reality. Part of you is fighting to be somewhere else. That internal conflict broadcasts a scattered, unclear signal. Allowing doesn't mean you approve of your circumstances or that you stop working toward change. It means you make peace with where you are right now, even as you move toward where you want to be. The practice looks like this. When you notice yourself in resistance, feeling frustrated, impatient, or angry about your current circumstances, pause, take a breath, and say to yourself, either out loud or internally, "This is what's happening right now. I don't have to like it. I don't have to stay here forever. But for this moment, I'm going to stop fighting it." Then notice what happens in your body. Often, there's an immediate softening. The tension that resistance creates begins to dissolve. You're not giving up. You're simply releasing the exhausting effort of pushing against what already is. From this place of allowing, you can take inspired action. You can move toward your desires, but you're moving from flow instead of force, from clarity instead of desperation. Practice 4, frequency checking. Remember how we talked about the trap of constantly checking to see if manifestation is working? Here's a different kind of checking, one that actually serves you. Throughout your day, set random reminders on your phone. When the reminder goes off, pause whatever you're doing and do a quick frequency check. Ask yourself, what frequency am I broadcasting right now? Don't judge it. Don't try to change it immediately. Just notice. Are you in coherence or incoherence? Are you in flow or force? Are you in trust or fear? The practice is simply awareness, because when you bring conscious attention to your frequency, you create the possibility of choice. You might notice you've been in a state of low-level anxiety for hours without realizing it. The simple act of noticing often begins to shift it. If you notice you're in incoherence, you don't have to do anything dramatic. Just take 3 conscious breaths. That's enough. You're not trying to fix yourself. You're just interrupting the pattern, creating a little space for coherence to emerge naturally. Over time, this practice develops what I call frequency awareness, the ability to notice your state in real time and make micro-adjustments throughout your day. Practice 5, the coherence question. This is a powerful practice that combines contemplation with energy work. When you're facing a decision, considering an action, or feeling stuck about how to move forward, instead of asking, "What should I do?" ask this: what choice would create the most coherence in my system right now? Then listen, not for a logical answer from your thinking mind, but for a felt sense from your body. Often, the choice that creates coherence is not the one that makes the most sense strategically. It's not the choice that will get you there faster or prove something to someone else. It's the choice that allows you to stay in your integrity, in your center, in your flow. It's the choice that feels like relief rather than tension. It's the choice that, even if it's scary, creates a sense of rightness in your body. When you make decisions from coherence, you're not just choosing actions, you're reinforcing your coherent frequency. You're training your system to recognize that it's safe to trust yourself, safe to move forward without force, safe to let things unfold. Practice 6, releasing the timeline. One of the biggest sources of incoherence is attachment to timing. You want it to happen now, or by a certain date, or before something else occurs. And every day that passes without your desired outcome materializing creates more anxiety, more doubt, more incoherence. The practice of releasing the timeline is simple in concept, but challenging in execution. It means consciously letting go of your attachment to when something should happen. This doesn't mean you stop taking action or lose your desire. It means you trust that the timing that serves your highest good might be different from the timing your ego prefers. Here's a phrase that can help. This, or something better, in the timing that serves my highest evolution. When you catch yourself obsessing about timing, worried that you're running out of time or that you've somehow missed your window, repeat this phrase. Let it soften your grip on control. The truth is, the field doesn't operate on your calendar. It operates according to the principle of readiness, yours and everyone else's involved in the manifestation. When all the elements are aligned, when you're truly ready, which might be different from when you think you're ready, when the field has organized the necessary circumstances, it happens. Not before, not after, exactly when it serves. Your job isn't to control the timing. Your job is to maintain coherence while the field does its work. Practice 7, celebrating evidence of coherence. Most people wait to celebrate until the big manifestation arrives, but that's missing hundreds of opportunities to reinforce your coherent state. Start celebrating evidence of coherence itself. Did you catch yourself in incoherence and choose to take 3 breaths instead of spiraling? That's worth celebrating. Did you feel the urge to check your bank account compulsively and choose not to? Celebrate that. Did you notice fear arising and witness it without collapsing into it? That's a victory. Every time you choose coherence over incoherence, you're reinforcing a new pattern. And the more you acknowledge these micro-shifts, the more you train your nervous system to recognize coherence as your new baseline. You can keep a coherence journal where you note these moments. At the end of each day, write down 3 times you chose coherence. They don't have to be dramatic. In fact, the smaller and more ordinary they are, the better. Because it's these everyday choices that create lasting transformation. The key insight across all these practices is that none of them require you to be perfect. None of them demand that you maintain coherence 24/7. That's not realistic, and it's not necessary. What matters is that you develop the capacity to notice incoherence when it arises and gently return to coherence, over and over, without judgment, without making it mean something about your worth or your ability to manifest. You're essentially training your nervous system the way you might train a puppy, with patience, consistency, and kindness. You don't punish the puppy for having an accident. You just gently guide it back to the right behavior. Eventually, it becomes natural. The same is true for your frequency. The more you practice these gentle returns to coherence, the more naturally coherence becomes your baseline state. And when coherence is your baseline, manifestation becomes effortless, not because you're doing anything special, but because your signal is finally clear enough for the field to respond. In the next section, we're going to explore what happens when you begin to live from coherence consistently. The subtle and not so subtle ways your reality begins to reorganize itself. The synchronicities, the opportunities, the shifts in relationships and circumstances that start to appear. Not because you forced them, but because you finally stopped interfering with their natural emergence. There's a particular threshold you cross when you begin to practice coherence consistently. At first, it feels like you're just doing a practice, something separate from your normal life. You sit down, you do your breathwork or heart coherence, you feel better, and then you return to your regular programming. But after a while, and this timeline is different for everyone, something shifts. Coherence stops being something you do and starts being something you are. It becomes your baseline rather than an exception. And when that happens, when coherence becomes your default frequency, you start to notice changes in your external reality that feel almost magical. But they're not magic. They're the natural result of broadcasting a clear, consistent signal that the field can finally work with. Let me walk you through what this typically looks like, so you know what to watch for. The first sign: time expands. One of the earliest indicators that your frequency has shifted is a change in your relationship with time. When you're operating from incoherence, time always feels insufficient. You're rushing, cramming, behind schedule, anxious about deadlines. Hours feel like minutes, and there's never enough space for everything you need to do. But when you stabilize in coherence, something curious happens. Time seems to expand. You accomplish more with less effort. Things that used to take hours somehow get done in 30 minutes. You find pockets of space in your day that didn't exist before. This isn't actually about time changing, it's about your perception and efficiency changing. When your nervous system isn't burning energy on anxiety and resistance, when your mind isn't fragmented across multiple worries, you have access to far more capacity than you realized. People who live in coherence often describe feeling like they have more hours in the day than they used to, even though objectively nothing has changed. They're just no longer wasting energy on interference. The second sign: synchronicities increase. Synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that feel too perfect to be random, starts to become a regular occurrence. You think of someone and they text you. You need information, and a podcast addressing that exact topic appears in your feed. You're wondering about a decision, and a stranger says something that answers your question. These aren't miracles. They're the natural result of a coherent field interacting with the unified field more fluidly. When your signal is clear, you become more sensitive to the subtle information that's always flowing through the field. You notice things you would have missed before. You follow impulses that lead somewhere unexpected. And the field itself seems to organize circumstances in response to your frequency. Not because you're forcing anything, but because coherence creates a kind of magnetism. Things that match your frequency are drawn to you, and you're drawn to things that match your frequency. At first, you might dismiss these synchronicities as coincidence, but as they accumulate, as they become more frequent and more specific, you start to realize you're experiencing something real. Your relationship with reality is fundamentally changing. The third sign: relationships recalibrate. When your frequency shifts, your relationships inevitably shift with it. This can be uncomfortable at first, but it's one of the clearest indicators that your field is reorganizing. Some people will naturally drift away from your life, not through conflict or drama necessarily, but through organic distancing. You might notice that certain friendships feel draining where they didn't before. Conversations that used to engage you feel hollow. Time spent with particular people leaves you feeling depleted rather than energized. This isn't about judging those people or deeming them unworthy. It's simply that your frequencies no longer match. When you were operating from incoherence, certain relationships made sense. They matched your frequency at that time. But as you stabilize in coherence, those relationships naturally fall away because maintaining them would require you to lower your frequency to match theirs. At the same time, new people begin to appear in your life. Often, these connections feel immediate and deep, like you've known each other far longer than you actually have. There's an ease, a resonance, a sense of being truly seen and understood. These new relationships aren't better or worse than your old ones. They're simply aligned with your current frequency. And because you're both broadcasting coherent signals, the relationship itself tends to be more harmonious, more generative, more life-giving. You might also notice that existing relationships transform. Partners, family members, friends who are committed to their own growth may suddenly shift their behavior toward you. Old patterns that used to trigger you stop appearing. Conversations become deeper, more authentic, more meaningful. This happens because when one person in a relationship changes their frequency, it affects the entire dynamic. You're no longer feeding the old patterns with your reactions, and so those patterns, which require participation from both parties, begin to dissolve. The fourth sign: decisions become easier. When you're operating from incoherence, every decision feels heavy. You second-guess yourself constantly. You make pro and con lists that never quite resolve. You ask everyone's opinion and still feel unclear. You oscillate between options, unable to commit because you're terrified of making the wrong choice. But when you're in coherence, decisions become remarkably straightforward. Not because you suddenly have more information or better logic, but because you have access to a different kind of knowing, a body-based, intuitive clarity that doesn't require endless analysis. You ask yourself, what would create the most coherence? And your body answers. Sometimes the answer surprises your logical mind. Sometimes it's not the smart choice according to conventional wisdom, but it's the choice that feels right in your cells, in your bones, in that deep place that knows. And here's what's interesting. When you make decisions from coherence, they tend to work out, not because coherence guarantees outcomes, but because you're choosing from alignment rather than fear. Even if a coherent choice leads to challenges, you navigate those challenges with more grace because you trust the path you're on. The fifth sign, your body feels different. Living in coherence has profound effects on your physical body. Many people report sleeping more deeply and waking more refreshed. Chronic tension patterns begin to release. Shoulders that have been tight for years suddenly relax. Digestion improves. Energy levels stabilize. This makes sense from a physiological perspective. When your nervous system is no longer locked in survival mode, your body can finally direct resources toward healing, regeneration, and optimal functioning instead of constantly preparing for threats. You might notice that you get sick less often. When you do get sick, you recover more quickly. Physical pain that seemed permanent begins to shift. This isn't about positive thinking curing illness. It's about your body finally having the energetic resources to do what it's designed to do, maintain health and wholeness. Your breath changes too. Even when you're not actively practicing breathing techniques, you find yourself breathing more deeply and fully throughout the day. Your baseline becomes the deep, diaphragmatic breathing that signals safety to your nervous system. The sixth sign, money flows more easily. One of the most tangible ways coherence manifests is through finances. Not because coherence magically creates money, but because your relationship with money transforms. When you're in incoherence, you tend to make financial decisions from fear. You grasp at opportunities that don't quite fit. You undercharge because you're afraid of rejection. You overspend to soothe anxiety. You hide from your financial reality because looking at it creates so much stress. But in coherence, you can face your finances with clarity and calm. You make decisions about money from wisdom rather than panic. You're able to say yes to opportunities that truly align and no to ones that don't, regardless of the immediate payoff. And somehow, and this is the part that feels almost inexplicable, money starts to show up in unexpected ways. The client who seemed like a long shot says yes. The bill you were worried about gets reduced. Someone offers you an opportunity you weren't even seeking. You find money you forgot about. Resources arrive through channels you didn't predict. Again, this isn't magic. It's that your coherent frequency makes you more perceptive to opportunities that were always there. Your decisions are wiser. Your energy is more attractive. You're not repelling abundance through the static of fear and scarcity. The seventh sign, you stop needing proof. Perhaps the most profound sign that you've stabilized in coherence is that you stop needing external validation that it's working. In the beginning, you're constantly checking. Is this working? Are things changing yet? Show me a sign. But when coherence becomes your baseline, the state itself becomes the proof. You feel the difference in your body. You experience the peace in your mind. You notice the clarity in your choices. And that internal experience is more compelling than any external circumstance could be. This doesn't mean you stop having desires or goals. It means you're no longer desperate for them to manifest in order to feel okay. You're okay now. You're at peace now. You trust now. And that trust isn't blind faith. It's embodied knowing, born from direct experience of how the field responds to coherence. From this place, manifestation becomes almost effortless. Not because you're doing anything special, but because you're no longer doing the things that create interference. You set an intention from coherence, you take inspired action from coherence, and then you release attachment to the timeline and the specifics of how it unfolds. And life begins to flow in a way it never did when you were forcing, controlling, and desperately trying to make things happen. Now, I need to be honest with you about something. Reading about coherence, understanding it intellectually, even experiencing it temporarily, none of that guarantees you'll maintain it consistently. There are predictable pitfalls that almost everyone encounters on this path, patterns that can pull you right back into incoherence even after you've tasted what coherence feels like. The good news is that once you know what these pitfalls are, you can recognize them when they appear and choose a different response. Let's walk through the most common ones. Pitfall 1. Turning coherence into another performance. This is perhaps the most insidious trap because it disguises itself as spiritual progress. You learn about coherence, you experience its benefits, and suddenly you're trying to be coherent all the time. You're monitoring yourself constantly, judging every moment of stress or doubt as a failure. I should be coherent right now. Why am I feeling anxious? I know better than this. What's wrong with me? The moment you turn coherence into a schuld, into something you're failing at if you're not maintaining it perfectly, you've created incoherence. Because now you're in performance mode, trying to prove something, afraid of getting it wrong. Coherence isn't a test you need to pass. It's not a standard you need to meet. It's simply a state that's available to you when you stop creating interference. So when you catch yourself judging your incoherence, trying to force yourself into coherence, or feeling like a failure because you're not maintaining it perfectly, pause, take a breath, and say to yourself, incoherence is allowed, struggle is allowed. I don't have to be perfect to be worthy. The practice isn't maintaining coherence 100% of the time. The practice is noticing when you've slipped into incoherence and gently returning to coherence without making the incoherence mean something about your worth or your ability. Pitfall 2. Using coherence to manipulate outcomes. Remember how we talked about frequency interference? How trying to force manifestation creates static in your signal. The same thing happens when you practice coherence specifically to make something happen. I'm going to do my heart coherence practice so the universe gives me what I want. I'm going to stay calm so reality has to shift. I'm going to maintain this frequency so I can finally manifest my desires. The moment your coherence is contingent on getting an outcome, it's not real coherence. It's strategic coherence, which is actually just another form of force disguised as allowing. Real coherence arises when you let go of the outcome entirely. When you practice heart coherence because it feels good to be in that state, regardless of what it produces. When you choose calm because calm itself is valuable, not because calm will get you what you want. This is the ultimate paradox of manifestation. The less you need it to happen, the more easily it happens. The more you can be at peace without the outcome, the more readily the outcome arrives. So if you catch yourself practicing coherence with an agenda, with a hidden expectation that if you just stay calm enough, the universe will deliver, pause. Reconnect with the practice itself. Let the peace be the point, not the means to something else. Pitfall 3. Expecting linear progress. Most people assume that once they understand coherence and start practicing it, they'll make steady, linear progress. Each day will be a little better than the last. They'll slip into incoherence less frequently. Their manifestations will start appearing right on schedule. But that's not how it works. Transformation is rarely linear. You might have a week where you feel incredibly coherent, where synchronicities are flowing, where everything feels aligned. And then suddenly you wake up one morning and all the old patterns are back. The anxiety, the doubt, the urgency, it's like you forgot everything you learned. This isn't regression. This is integration. Your system is processing the changes you're making. Old patterns are surfacing to be witnessed and released. Your nervous system is testing whether this new way of being is really safe. When this happens, and it will happen, the worst thing you can do is panic and assume you've failed or that the work doesn't actually work. The best thing you can do is meet yourself with compassion, return to the basics, breath, heart coherence, allowing, and trust that this temporary dip is part of the larger arc of transformation. Progress isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. You might feel like you're back where you started, but you're not. You're circling back to familiar territory with more awareness, more tools, more capacity than you had before. Pitfall 4. Comparing your process to others. In the age of social media, it's almost impossible not to compare your journey to someone else's. You see someone else's manifestation success story and think, why is it so easy for them but so hard for me? What am I doing wrong? Or you see someone else's apparent coherence, their perfect morning routine, their enlightened posts, their seemingly effortless life, and you feel inadequate by comparison. But here's the truth. You have no idea what's actually happening in someone else's field. You're seeing a curated snapshot, a highlight reel, a moment frozen in time. You're not seeing their struggles, their doubts, their moments of incoherence. More importantly, their path is not your path. Their timeline is not your timeline. The specific lessons they need to learn, the specific frequencies they need to clear, the specific ways they need to grow, all of that is unique to them. Comparison pulls you completely out of your own frequency and into a state of lack. It's one of the fastest ways to create incoherence because you're essentially telling the field, I'm not enough, my progress isn't enough, my path isn't enough. When you catch yourself comparing, come back to your own field. Place a hand on your heart, take a breath, and say, my journey is mine alone. My timing is perfect for me. I trust my process. Pitfall 5. Giving up. When external reality hasn't shifted yet. This is the pitfall that stops most people right before their breakthrough. They practice coherence for days, weeks, even months. They feel different internally. They're calmer, clearer, more at peace. But their external circumstances look exactly the same. The bills are still due, the relationship is still difficult, the job is still unfulfilling, and eventually they think, this isn't working, nothing's actually changing, I'm wasting my time. So they abandon the practice and collapse back into the old frequency of force, urgency, and control. But here's what they don't realize. The field was responding. Reality was reorganizing. Things were shifting behind the scenes. They just gave up right before the evidence became visible. Remember, there's always a lag time between internal shift and external reflection. The quantum field doesn't operate on your preferred timeline. It operates according to the principle of readiness and alignment. Your job is to maintain coherence without needing immediate proof. To trust the process even when you can't see results yet. To know that every moment you spend in coherence is broadcasting a clear signal that the field is responding to, even if you can't perceive the response yet. The people who successfully transform their lives through coherence aren't the ones who never doubt. They're the ones who doubt and keep practicing anyway, who feel impatient and choose to relax and to trust anyway, who want to check and force and control, but instead breathe and allow and wait. Pitfall 6. Ignoring the body's signals. Many people approach coherence as a purely mental or energetic practice. They focus on their thoughts, their visualization, their frequency, but they ignore what their body is telling them. Your body is constantly giving you feedback about your state of coherence or incoherence. Tension in your jaw, tightness in your chest, shallow breathing, digestive issues, trouble sleeping. These are all signals that your nervous system is in a state of dysregulation. But instead of listening to these signals and responding with compassion, rest, movement, breath, release, many people override them. They push through the fatigue. They ignore the tension. They force themselves to keep going, to keep achieving, to keep performing. This creates a split between your conscious intention to be coherent and your body's actual state. And the field responds to your body's state, not your mental intention. So part of maintaining coherence is learning to listen to your body and honor what it needs. Sometimes coherence means taking a nap when you're tired, even though your to-do list isn't finished. Sometimes it means moving your body, stretching, dancing, releasing stored tension through physical expression. Sometimes it means saying no to commitments that would drain you, even if saying no disappoints someone else. Your body knows what it needs to maintain coherence. Your job is to listen and respond. How to return to coherence after falling into these pitfalls. The most important skill you can develop isn't maintaining perfect coherence. It's knowing how to return to coherence after you've lost it. And the process is always the same. First, notice without judgment. I'm in incoherence right now. I'm performing, I'm forcing, I'm comparing, I'm doubting. Just name it, clearly and without making it mean something about your worth. Second, pause. Stop whatever you're doing, even if it's just for 30 seconds. Create a tiny space between the pattern and your next response. Third, breathe. 3 conscious breaths, deep, slow, intentional. This interrupts the stress response and signals safety to your nervous system. Fourth, soften. Release the tension in your body. Drop your shoulders, relax your jaw, soften your belly. Let your face relax. This physical softening supports mental and emotional softening. Fifth, Return to something real. Find one small thing you can genuinely appreciate. The warmth of the sun, the taste of water, the fact that you're breathing. Let yourself feel it, even just for a moment. That's it. That's the whole practice. Notice, pause, breathe, soften, appreciate. You can do this entire sequence in less than a minute, and each time you do it, you're training your nervous system to recognize coherence as home. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to maintain coherence constantly. You just have to keep returning, over and over, with patience, with kindness, with the understanding that this is the work, not achieving some permanent state of bliss, but developing the capacity to return to your center no matter how many times you drift away. Now we've arrived at the point where understanding must become experience. Everything we've discussed, the science of coherence, the signs it's working, the common pitfalls, all of it is just concept until you feel it in your own body. So I'm going to guide you through a complete coherence practice right now. If you can, I invite you to participate actively. Find a quiet space, sit comfortably, give yourself this gift of a few uninterrupted minutes. If you're somewhere where you can't do this right now, maybe you're driving or at work, that's okay. You can return to this section later when you have space. Or you can simply listen and imagine the practice, which has its own value. But at some point, I encourage you to actually do this, not just understand it. Ready? Let's begin. Step 1. Arriving in your body. Close your eyes or soften your gaze downward. Let your hands rest in your lap or on your thighs. Palms up if that feels receptive. Palms down if you need grounding. Take a moment to simply notice where you are. Feel the surface beneath you supporting your body. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Hear the sounds around you without needing to identify or analyze them. You're not trying to go anywhere or become anything. You're simply arriving, coming home to this moment, to this body, to this breath. Step 2. Releasing effort. Now, scan through your body and notice where you're holding tension. Your jaw, your shoulders, your belly, your hands. Without judging the tension, without needing to understand why it's there. Simply invite those areas to soften. You're not forcing them to relax. You're just offering an invitation. Imagine that with each exhale, you're releasing a little more of the grip. Not all at once, just incrementally, gently, like you're coaxing a tight fist to slowly open. As you do this, you might notice resistance. Part of you might want to hold on to the tension because it feels protective, familiar, necessary. That's okay. You don't have to override that impulse. Just notice it with kindness. Step 3. Breath as anchor. Bring your attention to your breath without trying to control it. Just observe it for a few cycles. Notice where you feel it most. In your nose, your chest, your belly. Now, gently begin to deepen your breath. Imagine you're filling a vessel from the bottom up. Let your belly expand on the inhale. Let your ribs widen. Feel the breath filling your entire torso. On the exhale, let it be slow and complete, like a wave retreating from the shore. Allow the exhale to be slightly longer than the inhale. This signals to your nervous system that you're safe, that there's no threat, that you can shift out of survival mode. Continue this rhythm. Deep inhale, filling your torso. Long exhale, releasing completely. Don't force it. Let it be natural, organic, easeful. As you breathe, you might notice your mind wandering. Thoughts will arise. Plans, worries, memories, to-do lists. This is completely normal. You don't have to stop your thoughts. Just notice them without grabbing onto them and gently return your attention to your breath. Step 4. Heart center activation. Now, bring your attention to the center of your chest, your heart space. You can place one or both hands over your heart if it helps you focus. Imagine that you're breathing in and out through this space, not literally, but energetically, as if your heart itself is breathing. With each inhale, imagine you're drawing in a soft, luminous energy, whatever color feels right to you. This energy fills your heart space, expanding it gently. With each exhale, imagine this energy radiating outward from your heart, creating a field of calm around you. Not pushing, not forcing, just naturally emanating, like warmth from a candle. Continue this for several breaths, breathing in through your heart, breathing out from your heart. Let the rhythm be steady, soothing like a gentle wave pattern. Step 5. Authentic appreciation. Now comes the crucial element. As you continue breathing through your heart, invite in a feeling of appreciation. And remember, this must be genuine. A small amount of real feeling is more powerful than a large amount of pretend feeling. Find something you can authentically appreciate right now. It doesn't have to be profound or dramatic. Maybe it's simply the fact that you're taking this time for yourself. Maybe it's the sensation of breathing. Maybe it's one person in your life who loves you. Maybe it's the fact that your body is working right now to keep you alive without you having to consciously control it. Whatever it is, let yourself feel it. Don't perform it. Don't exaggerate it. Just let the genuine feeling of appreciation be present, even if it's subtle. Hold this combination, breathing through your heart while feeling appreciation, for the next few minutes. If the feeling fades, gently reactivate it. If your mind wanders, gently return. There's no urgency here, no deadline, no way to fail. You're simply creating the conditions for coherence to arise naturally. As you do this, you might notice subtle shifts. A warmth in your chest, a softening in your body, a sense of spaciousness in your awareness, a quiet calm settling over your thoughts. These are signs that coherence is emerging. You might also notice resistance. Part of you might feel restless, impatient, skeptical. That's okay too. You don't have to override those feelings. Just notice them and keep breathing, keep appreciating. Step 6, the coherence question. Now, while maintaining this state of heart-centered breathing and appreciation, I want you to bring to mind something you've been trying to manifest or create, not to force it or strategize about it, but simply to hold it lightly in your awareness. And then ask yourself this question: what would it feel like if this was already resolved? Don't look for a mental answer. Don't try to figure it out logically. Just let your body respond. What sensation arises? What do you feel in your chest, your belly, your shoulders? Maybe it's relief. Maybe it's lightness. Maybe it's a gentle expansion. Maybe it's simply peace. Whatever it is, let yourself feel it fully. This is the frequency of your desire already manifested. This is what the field responds to, not the wanting, not the grasping, but the embodied feeling of it being done. Stay with this feeling. Breathe into it. Let it fill your entire system. You're not trying to hold on to it desperately. You're just allowing yourself to experience it fully right now. Step 7, release and trust. And now, gently, begin to release your focus on the specific desire. Let it dissolve back into the field of possibility. You're not pushing it away or abandoning it. You're simply releasing your grip on it. Imagine holding a bird in your cupped hands. You could squeeze tighter, trying to make sure it doesn't fly away, but that would crush it. Instead, you open your hands and trust that if it's meant to return, it will. And if it's meant to fly elsewhere, that's okay too. This is the practice of allowing. You've set the frequency. You've broadcast the signal. Now you trust the field to respond in whatever way serves your highest evolution. Take 3 more deep breaths. With each exhale, let go a little more. Release the outcome. Release the timeline. Release the need to control how it unfolds. Step 8, integration. When you're ready, begin to bring your awareness back to the room around you. Feel your body in the chair. Hear the sounds near you. Gently move your fingers and toes. Before you open your eyes, take a moment to acknowledge yourself for taking this time, for showing up for yourself, for practicing something that requires real courage, the courage to stop forcing and start trusting. And now, slowly, gently, open your eyes. After the practice, how do you feel? Different than when you started? Maybe calmer, softer, more spacious? Maybe emotional, like something shifted or released? Maybe skeptical, wondering if you did it right? Whatever you're feeling is perfect. There's no right way to feel after this practice. The goal isn't to achieve some specific state. The goal is simply to practice coherence, to give your nervous system the experience of what it feels like to be in that state. The more you practice this, and I recommend starting with even just 5 minutes a day, the more naturally coherence becomes your baseline. You're training your system to recognize this as home, as safe, as the frequency you return to again and again. And from this frequency, manifestation becomes exponentially easier. Not because you're forcing reality to comply, but because you're finally broadcasting a clear signal that the field can work with. Now that you've experienced coherence directly in your body, let's talk about how to carry this state into your actual life. Because the practice is valuable, but the real transformation happens when coherence becomes integrated into how you move through your days. This isn't about being perfectly coherent 24/7. It's about developing what I call coherence consciousness, the awareness of your frequency in real time and the ability to choose it moment by moment. Morning. Setting your frequency. How you start your day matters more than most people realize. The first thoughts you think, the first feelings you feel, the first actions you take, these set the tone for your nervous system and establish your baseline frequency for the hours ahead. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone and flooding your system with everyone else's energy, news, demands, and opinions, consider starting your day with coherence. You don't need an elaborate routine. Even 5 minutes makes a difference. Do a shortened version of the practice we just did. Breathe deeply, connect with your heart, activate appreciation, and set an intention for how you want to feel today. Not what you want to accomplish, not what you need to get done, how you want to feel. Calm, creative, connected, trusting. Name that feeling, embody it for a few moments, and then carry it with you as you move into your day. Throughout the day, frequency check-ins. Remember the practice of frequency checking we discussed earlier? Set 3 to 5 random alarms throughout your day. When the alarm goes off, pause whatever you're doing for just 30 seconds and check. What frequency am I broadcasting right now? Don't judge it, just notice. Am I in coherence or incoherence? Am I in flow or force? Am I in trust or fear? If you notice you're in incoherence, you don't have to do anything dramatic. Just take 3 conscious breaths. That's it. You're creating a micro interruption in the pattern, a tiny reset that brings you back to center. Over time, these micro resets accumulate. You develop the capacity to notice your state more quickly and return to coherence more easily. You're essentially building a new habit, not the habit of being perfect, but the habit of returning. In difficult moments, the coherence choice. Life will inevitably present moments that trigger incoherence. Someone says something hurtful. You get unexpected bad news. A plan falls through. Traffic makes you late for something important. In these moments, your old pattern would be to immediately collapse into reaction, anger, anxiety, despair, frustration, and you might still feel those emotions arise. That's human. That's normal. But here's where coherence practice gives you something precious: choice. In that split second between trigger and response, you have the option to pause. You can still feel the emotion. You don't have to suppress it or pretend it's not there. But you can feel it without becoming it. You can witness it without letting it hijack your entire nervous system. Take a breath, place a hand on your heart, and ask yourself, how can I respond to this from coherence instead of incoherence? Maybe the coherent response is to say something you wouldn't have said in reactivity. Maybe it's to do nothing and let the moment pass. Maybe it's to remove yourself from the situation until you're calmer. Maybe it's to feel the feeling fully and let it move through you without making it mean something about your entire life. There's no formula. The coherent choice is different in each situation. But the practice of pausing to ask the question creates space for wisdom to emerge instead of just defaulting to old patterns. In manifestation, moments. Releasing attachment, you're going to have moments where something you desire is within reach. A potential relationship, a job opportunity, a financial breakthrough. And in those moments, there's a strong temptation to grip tightly, to try to control the outcome, to collapse into desperate hope. This is when coherence practice is most crucial and most challenging. When you notice yourself attaching, grasping, or falling into, I need this to work out, pause, return to your breath, connect with your heart, and say to yourself, if this is meant for me, I don't need to force it. If it's not meant for me, something better is. This isn't spiritual bypassing or pretending you don't care. It's genuine trust that the field knows what serves your highest evolution better than your limited perspective does. From this place of coherence and trust, if action is required, you'll take it from clarity rather than desperation. And whatever unfolds will unfold more smoothly than if you tried to control every variable. Evening. Gratitude integration. Before sleep is another powerful time to reinforce coherence. Your subconscious is most receptive in the moments before you drift off, so what you focus on matters. Instead of replaying everything that went wrong or worrying about tomorrow, spend a few minutes in gratitude, not forced gratitude, but authentic appreciation for specific moments from your day. Maybe you had a good conversation. Maybe you noticed something beautiful. Maybe you chose coherence in a moment where you usually wouldn't have. Maybe you simply made it through a challenging day. Find 3 things you can genuinely appreciate, feel the appreciation in your body, and then release into sleep from that frequency. This practice does something powerful over time. It trains your nervous system to scan for what's working instead of what's wrong. And that shift in perception changes everything. The coherence lifestyle, what it actually looks like. People often imagine that living in coherence means being some Zen master who never gets upset, never feels challenged, never struggles. But that's not what it means at all. Living coherently means you still feel the full range of human emotions. You still have bad days. You still face challenges. You still experience disappointment, frustration, sadness, anger. The difference is in how you relate to those experiences. You don't collapse into them and make them mean something permanent about your life. You don't stay in them longer than necessary. You don't use them as evidence that nothing is working or that you're failing. You feel them, you honor them, and then you return to coherence, again and again, as many times as needed. The coherence lifestyle is one of constant returning, not constant perfection, but constant willingness to come back home to yourself, to your center, to your frequency. And over time, the returns get easier. The periods of coherence get longer. The depth of incoherence gets shallower. Not because you're becoming perfect, but because your nervous system is rewiring itself. Coherence is becoming your new normal instead of the exception. We've covered so much ground together. The science of coherence, the practice of releasing force, the signs that your frequency is shifting, the common pitfalls and how to navigate them, the integration into daily life. But all of this, every word, every concept, every practice, comes down to one fundamental invitation. Will you trust? Will you trust that you don't have to force reality to comply with your will? Will you trust that a clear signal is more powerful than desperate effort? Will you trust that the field is always responding, even when you can't see evidence yet? This is the ultimate test of coherence. Not whether you can maintain a perfect state of calm, but whether you can trust the process, even when your circumstances haven't shifted yet. Because here's the truth that no one can prove to you until you experience it yourself. The field is always listening. Reality is always responding. Your frequency is always creating. The question is never, does this work? The question is always, am I broadcasting a coherent signal? And when the answer is yes, when you've released the urgency, the attachment, the need to control, when you've dropped into that space of genuine peace and trust, that's when everything changes. Not because you forced it to change, not because you finally figured out the right technique, but because you finally stopped interfering with the natural intelligence of the field. You stopped being the jackhammer drowning out the music. You became quiet enough to hear it. And in hearing it, you began to harmonize with it. And in harmonizing with it, you became an active participant in its unfolding. This is what it means to be a conscious creator. Not someone who controls reality through force of will, but someone who aligns with reality through clarity of frequency. Someone who knows that their worth isn't dependent on outcomes. Someone who can be at peace before the manifestation appears. Someone who trusts the timing even when it doesn't match their preferences. If you felt something shift in you during this experience, even if it's subtle, even if it's just a tiny opening of possibility, I want you to honor that. Because that shift, however small, is evidence that your field is capable of reorganizing itself. You're not broken. You're not doing it wrong. You're simply learning a new language, the language of frequency, of coherence, of trust. And like any new language, it takes practice. You'll stumble. You'll forget words. You'll slip back into your native tongue of force and control. That's all part of the learning process. But if you keep practicing, if you keep returning to coherence, even when it feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar, something remarkable happens. One day you'll wake up and realize that coherence isn't something you're doing anymore. It's something you are. Your baseline will have shifted, your default frequency will have changed, and your reality will have reorganized itself around that new frequency in ways you couldn't have orchestrated through force. The next step. If you're resonating with what we've explored today, I want to invite you to take one specific action that will anchor this shift in your field. In the comments below, write these 4 words. I choose coherence now. Not, I will try to be coherent. Not, I hope this works for me. But, I choose coherence now. These words are a declaration to your nervous system, to your subconscious mind, and to the quantum field itself. You're claiming this frequency as your own. You're announcing your intention to stop forcing and start flowing. And here's what's powerful about making that public declaration. You're not just speaking it into the void. You're adding your frequency to a collective field of people who are making the same choice. You're joining a community of conscious creators who understand that transformation doesn't come through force. It comes through coherence. When you write those words, feel them in your body. Let them land not just in your mind, but in your cells. Because this isn't just a mental decision, it's an energetic commitment. Joining the Coherence community. If this video has served you, if you've felt something shift, if you want to continue exploring these principles and practices together, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. But I want to be clear about what you're subscribing to. This isn't just another manifestation channel with quick tips and hacks. This isn't a place where I'm going to promise you overnight results or magical solutions. This is a space dedicated to the real work of consciousness, to understanding the science behind how reality responds to frequency, to developing the practices that create lasting coherence, to supporting each other through the challenges and celebrating the breakthroughs. When you subscribe, you're committing to your own evolution. You're saying yes to a path that requires patience, practice, and trust. You're choosing to be part of a community that values depth over speed, coherence over force, truth over performance. Every video I create is designed to deepen your understanding and strengthen your practice. Some will challenge you, some will comfort you, some will show you aspects of yourself you haven't wanted to see, but all of them will serve your journey toward living from coherence. So if you're ready for that, if you're ready to release the exhausting effort of forcing reality and learn to flow with it instead, click that subscribe button now. The Coherence Commitment. I also want to offer you a challenge, something that will transform this from passive viewing into active embodiment. For the next 7 days, commit to practicing coherence every single day. Not for hours, not with elaborate rituals, just 5 minutes each morning using the practice I guided you through earlier. 5 minutes of breath work, heart coherence, and authentic appreciation. That's it. But here's the key. Do it every day, no matter what. Even on the days you don't feel like it. Especially on the days you don't feel like it, because coherence isn't built through sporadic, intense effort. It's built through gentle, consistent practice. Through showing up for yourself day after day, even in small ways. And if you want to take it deeper, set those frequency check-in alarms throughout your day. 3 times a day, pause for 30 seconds, notice your state, and take 3 conscious breaths if you've slipped into incoherence. 7 days, 5 minutes in the morning, 3 check-ins throughout the day. That's the commitment. And I promise you, if you do this consistently for 7 days, you will feel different. Not because 7 is a magic number, but because you'll have given your nervous system enough repetitions to start recognizing coherence as safe, as home, as your new baseline. What to watch for? As you begin practicing coherence consistently, stay curious about what shifts. Keep a simple journal and note. How is your sleep quality? How are your energy levels throughout the day? How are you responding to challenges? What synchronicities are appearing? What relationships are shifting? How do decisions feel? Easier or harder? What's your relationship with time like? How often are you checking compulsively? How's your baseline anxiety level? You're not looking for massive dramatic changes overnight. You're looking for subtle shifts that accumulate. The small indicators that your frequency is stabilizing. Maybe you catch yourself about to react in an old way and you pause instead. That's evidence. Maybe you notice your shoulders aren't as tight by the end of the day. That's evidence. Maybe a conversation goes more smoothly than usual. That's evidence. These micro shifts are more important than the big manifestations because they're proof that your internal state is changing. And when your internal state changes consistently, external changes are inevitable. A word about the waiting period. I need to be honest with you about something. When you first start practicing coherence, there's usually a period where things feel harder before they feel easier. This happens for a few reasons. First, you're becoming conscious of patterns you've been running unconsciously for years. That awareness can be uncomfortable, It's like suddenly noticing a sound that's always been there, but you'd tuned out. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Second, old patterns often intensify before they dissolve. Your system is testing whether this new way is really safer than the old way. So you might find yourself more anxious, more reactive, more impatient than usual. This isn't regression, it's resistance. Your old programming is fighting for survival. Third, the gap between internal shift and external reflection can create doubt. You're feeling different inside, but nothing seems to be changing outside yet, and that can be deeply frustrating. If you hit this period, and most people do, please don't abandon the practice. This is exactly when the practice matters most. This is where your commitment to coherence is being tested. Remember, the field is always responding, always, but it responds to consistent signals, not sporadic ones. If you practice coherence for a week and then collapse back into force because you don't see results yet, you've essentially told the field, never mind, I didn't really mean it. But if you maintain coherence even through the waiting period, even through the doubt, even when you see no external evidence yet, that's when your signal becomes strong enough, consistent enough, stable enough for the field to reorganize reality around it. The deeper truth. Here's something I want you to really let sink in. The work of coherence is never wasted. Even if you practice for weeks and months and nothing manifests that you consciously wanted, the practice itself is transforming your life in ways that matter even more than manifestations. You're becoming more present, more calm, more capable of handling whatever life brings, more connected to yourself and others, more aware of the beauty and possibility that already exists. These internal shifts are the real treasure. The external manifestations, while wonderful, are just bonuses. Because when you're truly living from coherence, you realize that the peace you've been seeking through achieving things was available all along. You were just too busy forcing to notice it. This is the ultimate irony of manifestation. When you stop needing external things to make you feel okay, that's when they start showing up effortlessly. When you're already at peace, the field reflects that peace back to you through harmonious circumstances. But the peace comes first, the coherence comes first, the internal shift comes first. Everything else follows. The final practice. Before we close this journey together, I want to guide you through one final practice. This is the practice of anchoring. It takes less than a minute, but it will help you carry the frequency of everything we've explored together into your life. Right now, wherever you are, take a deep breath. Place one hand over your heart and say to yourself, either silently or out loud, I release the need to force. I trust the intelligence of the field. I choose coherence as my way of being. Take another breath. Feel those words resonating in your body. Notice what shifts, even slightly. And then say, my worth isn't dependent on outcomes. My peace isn't contingent on circumstances. I'm coherent now, exactly as I am. One more breath. Let that truth land deeply. This is your anchor. Anytime you notice yourself slipping into force, urgency, or desperation, you can return to these words. They're not affirmations you're trying to believe. They're truths you're remembering. The invitation continues. This video is ending, but your journey with coherence is just beginning. Every moment of every day offers you the choice. Will you force or will you flow? Will you grip or will you trust? Will you broadcast incoherence or will you return to coherence? The choice is always yours. And the beautiful thing is, you can choose differently right now. This moment, this breath, this heartbeat. You don't have to wait until you've healed all your trauma. You don't have to wait until you understand everything perfectly. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You can choose coherence right now, exactly as you are, with all your imperfections and uncertainties. Because coherence isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about releasing resistance. It's about trusting that you're held by a field that's far more intelligent than your limited perspective can comprehend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving yourself this time and space to explore these ideas. Thank you for being brave enough to consider that there might be a different way, a way that doesn't require force, struggle, or endless striving. Thank you for being part of this community of conscious creators who are learning to live from frequency instead of force. Your presence here matters. Your commitment to your own coherence creates ripples in the field that affect everyone around you. As you go forward from here, remember, you are not alone in this. Every person who's chosen the path of coherence has walked through the same doubts, the same challenges, the same waiting periods. And everyone who's stayed with the practice has discovered the same truth. The field responds, always, not on your timeline, not in the way you expect, but always perfectly, in alignment with your highest evolution. So, breathe, trust, soften, allow, choose coherence, and watch how reality reorganizes itself around your clear, consistent signal. I'll be here, creating more content to support your journey, exploring the science and spirituality of consciousness, offering practices that deepen your coherence, reminding you of what you already know but sometimes forget. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Turn on notifications so you're reminded to keep practicing. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And most importantly, commit to your own coherence, not just today, but every day. Because this is how we change, not through force, but through frequency, not through pressure, but through presence, not through control, but through coherence. You've got this. You are the signal. You are the frequency. You are the field consciously creating itself. Now go live that truth. Pause. And remember, every time you feel that familiar urge to force, to push, to make something happen, pause. Take 3 breaths, place a hand on your heart, and whisper to yourself, I choose coherence now. That's all it takes. That simple choice, repeated over and over, is what transforms everything. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay coherent, stay curious, stay committed to your own evolution. The field is listening, always listening. What will you broadcast today?